bar's got that swing. Glasses clink, hear the ice cubes sing. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. There's Troy laughing with his gin and a grin, telling stories about where he's been. Boomer's got whiskey, he's loosening his tie, chasing dreams under a midday sky. The bartender knows us, he's mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment we're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for the day. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. Sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh and we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Vasalut and welcome to Liquid Lunch. Another new week, another new day, and I hope you are all doing well. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and let's see what you all have to say as you shuffle in here. Starting with Curtis Selby, who says, lunchtime. A sentiment echoed by Mark Melnikoff, who says, Mech Paul. Lunchtime in Klingon. Fully recovered from the weekend events. Can't wait to share my insights, Troy. Until then, like, share, subscribe, and become a member. Do it now. Don't make me come looking for you. Yes, don't anger the Klingon warrior. Speaking of Klingon warriors, the love of my life happens to be just that. Welcome, Netter of Netters Network. Love to see you here. She also says like, share, subscribe, become a member, leave a comment, and if you are feeling so generous, especially at this holiday season, perhaps consider gifting a membership to increase this family that we are building here. That would be wonderful. We are doing a membership drive. I am trying to reach 100 members by the end of the year. You can become a member for as little as $2 a month. And with that, among many other great perks, including keeping this channel available and going, you can certainly join me every Monday night for an exclusive members-only film stream that we watch together, and you choose, with one exception. Next week's film will be available to the public It is my annual stream of the Star Wars Holiday Special. 'Tis the season. In fact, you may or may not realize this, but next week, Monday, is Life Day, officially. So we're going to celebrate. Gifted memberships are also welcome. Help Last Call reach 100 members and 2,000 subscribers. 2,000 subscribers is so doable because it costs you nothing. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button down below. Of course, if you've already done that, then share out the stream. Wow! It's Monday. Wait a minute. Let me Monday up here a little bit. There we go. Share out the stream. Tell your friends about it and ask them to subscribe. With your friends and your friends' friends subscribing, I can absolutely hit 2,000 by the end of the year. Curtis is working today, but will come on by when I get home. Well, there you go. Looking forward to it. Yes, tonight's movie for the members is, and they chose it, it's Zombieland. I don't know why they wanted to watch Zombieland, but that's what they chose. It was a vote, and that was the one that got the most votes. Jonathan Conroy says, "Hail all, smash the like button, and enjoy the show." I do hope you absolutely enjoy the show. Gorilla's Random Thought says, "Hopla! Success! Yes, you are successfully here." So, government is opening soon? How many people actually noticed that it was closed? I mean, really, the only people that noticed were the ones that were getting their paychecks from them. And look, this is going to happen. It is not the first time it's happened to you, and it is not the last time it's going to happen. This could come up for you again in January. So I would encourage you, if you are receiving your payments from the government, and you are concerned that your pay may be interrupted the next time they start pulling these shenanigans, maybe start looking to the corporate sector. Just saying. But anyway, be that as it may, I would say that most of us did not even notice that the government was shut down. And to the extent that we did, the industries that were impacted, we have to ask ourselves, do we really want government involved in those areas? Just saying. So there you go on that. Hail Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube and Flush Chick Productions. So glad you are here today. The Horror King. Welcome, the Horror King. Good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. And Booger. Good to see you. Here's my Monday musing. Next year's convention theme is Sanctuary Among Stars. No problem. Free, all expenses paid trip to the Klingon monastery on Boreth to learn the ways of Kotlash. Yes, I am all for that, Mark. That would be awesome. I would enter that sweepstakes. Yep. Well, of course, if you go to the monastery of Boreth to hear about the ways of Kalas and Klingon history and the path of honor, I'd be the one teaching that class. Yeah, I am the head cleric these days in Clindom. Sorry I'm late. Having a day with my nurse. Have a great show. Enjoy Liquid Lunchers. Thank you so much, my friend. I hope everything goes well today for you. I noticed because I sent money to my dad. Your dad receives a government pay? And there you go. That is the thing. If government is your first line of defense, then what's your safety net? For most of us, our first line of defense is our family, our friends, our church, our community. Government should be your final, last option. Your last safety net. It is opening because that is what the script said to happen after the election. Yeah, that's exactly right. We all saw it coming. Everyone said they're going to do the election, and then the Democrats are going to vote for the resolution. The resolution that was offered to them 40 days ago. Nothing has changed except the election. They thought it would gain them points, and arguably it did. They won. They won their elections. We'll see if that works out for the people that voted for them, though. If agencies were shut down and nobody noticed, do we need those agencies? 100% agree, Booger. I absolutely 100% agree. And for everybody that's getting concerned about SNAP and food stamps or whatever you want to call it, I see some pretty unhinged BS being said online. Someone made a joke, and what they were joking about, anybody who's ever served in the military makes this joke. How terrible MREs are, who wants to live on MREs. And they said, hey, if you have a bunch of people on food stamps that are upset because they want to not work and receive food stamps, put them on MREs and say, that's your food stamps. See how quickly they start working. It's a joke, implying that MREs are so terrible. These aren't the MREs of World War II. The MREs that the folks are getting these days are much, much better. And everyone's like freaking out, like this is, horrible, you're heartless. And it's like, wait a minute. It was a joke about MREs that military people make. But if you take it seriously, what the hell's wrong with that option? If it's good enough for our troops, then it's good enough for anybody that needs government assistance. It's literally government-issued food. Perfectly viable. I think it's a great option. But see, they don't want supplementary food. They don't want to keep people from starving. They want everybody to be able to eat the ding-dongs and the ho-hos and the Doritos. That's their problem. It wouldn't be a sweepstakes. It would be a bail in jail at that event. Yeah. No. What Mark is talking about is that when we used to be a much bigger, more active fandom, the Klingons would go and set up recruiting booths with a jail and bail, literally a big jail, and you would come and donate to charity, and you'd fill out a form for us to go into the convention and arrest a friend of yours or a relative or whatever, bring them back for a photo op in the jail. But that also meant that as long as I was there, I was going to be doing a panel, and that panel was always going to be, a lesson from the Monastery of Boreth, and whether it was Klingon culture, Klingon history, whatever. That's back during the good times. Back during the good times of fandom. My Clint Cleric title was Mecha of the Kaptach. There you go. You need a glottal stop at the end of cha, but otherwise, good on. He works for the USDA. He verifies that the food you eat is what the package says it is. That's very interesting because that is what the USDA is supposed to do. What the USDA is not supposed to do is what they are doing to Amos Miller in Pennsylvania and tell him he can't sell certain foods to people that want to buy them, such as raw milk. All they should be allowed to do is say, you can put a label on this that says, this is raw milk, unpasteurized, and if you want, put some sort of warning on it or whatever. But what the USDA actually does is shut down local farmers in favor of big corporate farmers. I have this amazing way to get food, housing, and health care. It's called a job. A lot of people should try it. Yes, absolutely true. But they want you to work so they don't have to. See, that's the whole idea. Let's see. If the government sends me MREs, I'll eat them and be grateful. Exactly. Honestly, here's what's funny. I see that there are videos, YouTube channels literally dedicated to people that open, show you, and eat MREs. And some of them are old MREs. Some of them should not probably be eaten. And to their credit, they don't eat everything that's in them. Some of it's pretty questionable. But good enough for the troops was the argument Joe Arpaio used for the tent jail in Maricopa County, and a judge ruled in his favor. Yeah. These are perfectly sound living conditions, not for prisoners, but for people serving our country. So there you go. I have done Klingon weddings and funerals at conventions. I have done them at conventions and, privately. We've done those. Yep, exactly. Joining ceremonies and ascension ceremonies too. Yeah, done a number of ascension ceremonies and at least one bonding ceremony. Yep. Mecha probably should be Mecha. Exactly. Mecha should actually be Mecha. But it was a transliteration of a Japanese word. Yeah, well, that's fine. But for the spelling to be correct, you need the glottal stop. In Klingon, the glottal stop is considered to be a letter or a character. So, and it follows very specific rules without exceptions. I'll tell you something. Languages that have no exceptions are much, much easier to learn. That's why English is so difficult for so many. And that, my friends, is actually the perfect pivot into the topic that I wanted to talk about today that got me musing, that got me thinking. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Share screen. Here we go. Share. Yes, I know I'm not sharing my sound. Welcome, Wilkie's Movies and Music. Thank you so much for stopping in to say hi. And let's talk about the Passion of the Christ sequel trades ancient tongues for English dialogue. So I don't know how many of you remember the original Passion of the Christ film, which was directed and produced by Mel Gibson, starring Henry Cavill. No, not Henry Cavill. That was Superman. Jim Caviezel. My apologies. Same initials as Jesus, right? He learned all of his lines in Aramaic, a dead language that they had to bring in an expert to help reconstruct. And he learned it all. He spoke in pure Aramaic. I believe there was some Hebrew, there was some Latin, some classical Latin. They used the appropriate languages of the time, so it was all subtitled. I thought it was brilliant. Let's see, why are they deciding to move away from that? Mel Gibson revealed the upcoming sequel to The Passion of the Christ may not be in the original language of Aramaic, Hebrew, and Latin. See, I was right. Instead, both parts of the resurrection of the Christ will be in English. The decision to use English appears to aim at broader accessibility to audiences, will more easily understand its complex narrative. Notably, this may affect the immersive feel the original film had used its historic languages. So I'll reserve my thoughts on this until the end. But I will say this: if they're going to do that, people are going to want to have both of these movies on their shelf, right? And it's going to be a little bit weird and jarring to watch one in original languages and the other in English. So unless they're planning to do a special edition where they dub, the original Passion of the Christ in English or something. Actually, I've never checked the languages on the DVD to see if maybe there already is an English dub on it. There may be. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. Background and development. In the 2004 film The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson, depicted the final hours of Jesus Christ's life and used the ancient languages Aramaic, Hebrew, and Latin with subtitles. Its use of non-vernacular dialogue was widely noted. A long gestating sequel titled The Resurrection of the Christ is set to be released in 2 parts in 2027 in English. The first part is scheduled for Good Friday, March 26, 2027, and the second for Ascension Day, May 6, 2027. Well, that's good marketing and good planning. I bet they stick to that, too. Production is being handled by Gibson's company Icon Productions in partnership with distributor Lionsgate. Filming began in Italy's Cinecittà? No, I'm sorry. The second C would be C. Cinecittà Studios in Rome in August of this year, with location shooting planning in southern Italy, including Matera. Gibson has spoken about the complex nature of the story and the need for a different approach. On his podcast appearance, he described the script as an acid trip, referring to its metaphysical and expansive scope. This super ambitious project includes Christ's descent into hell as well as battles between angels and demons. Should point out that the original Passion of the Christ was mostly very biblically accurate, but very much from a Catholic perspective. So it does get into some non-canonical elements of Catholicism's catechism. There was this whole thing with Judas and a bridge, and a whole kind of little separate story that's not in the Bible, but it is a part of Catholic tradition. I'm expecting there to be the same thing here with the whole descended into hell kind of stuff. They're looking at the Nicene Creed and so forth. Let's see. Super ambitious. Yeah, angels and demons. Yeah, if you're going to show depictions of heaven and hell, it's going to get a little trippy, especially if you try to be anything like biblically accurate about what demons and angels look like. The change to English for the Passion of the Christ sequel appears to reflect a desire to reach a wider audience and reduce language-based barriers to comprehension. Considering nobody actually speaks Aramaic, and so everyone, whether they were English speakers or otherwise, were reading subtitles in their own chosen language, not sure how you're excluding anyone. The budget for each film with this cosmic battles, with their cosmic battles, is $100 million for a grand total of $200 million. That's an unusually high number for independent studios. True. For perspective, the original film had a budget of only $30 million. However, despite its low budget, it became the highest grossing R-rated film for 20 years, making $610 million globally. Mel Gibson personally funded the film through Icon Productions. Major studios refused to fund the project due to its risky creative choices in subject matter, violence, and the use of historic languages. Casting for Resurrection of the Christ marks a notable shift from the original 2004 film. Finnish actor Jaakko Otonen replaces Jim Caviezel as Jesus. Marielle Garriga will portray Mary Magdalene, a role previously played by Monica Bellucci. Reports suggest the recasting reflects both the time gap since the original production and the creative direction of the new film. The upcoming sequel to Passion of the Christ, titled The Resurrection of the Christ, being in English marks a clear departure from the original language strategy. By opting for English dialogue and a 2-part release in 2027, the filmmakers signal a different set of priorities, broader accessibility, a more expansive story, and possibly a distinct one. The change raises questions about how the film will balance historical language authenticity with audience reach, and the ultimate version will only be clear once the production is released. Those are good points. One thing I'll note, though, is they talk about the budget. That budget has got to be for both, parts. So what they're really making is 2 movies. So whatever it makes at the box office is for 2 movies. It's like 2 movies for the price of 1. That's maybe an oversimplification, but it's something to think about when they have to start looking at the financial feasibility of it. I think it's going to be very well, and I do think this movie is going to do very well. I want to know what you guys think, but let's find that out right after a very abbreviated promo segment. Actually less than a minute and a half. We'll be right back.
You are watching Liquid Lunch, streaming every weekday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's sip together.
This week on Last Call Presents, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the King of Bohemia, asks Holmes to retrieve a compromising photograph from actress and singer Irene Adler, who proves to be a worthy opponent. It's A Scandal in Bohemia, this Tuesday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Last Call Presents.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, a traveling bushman who encounters modern civilization and its stranger aspects, including a clumsy scientist and a band of revolutionaries. A brush with modern innovation has hilarious and poignant repercussions in The Gods Must Be Crazy, this Saturday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netter's Network.
In a world where nearly all the entertainment is remakes, reboots, and rehashes of older properties, maybe it's worth it to get some commentary from people who experienced it all when it was novel and fresh. Catch Boomer and Pacelli on Geeky Geezers every Sunday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
We now return to our Liquid Lunch.
The Horror King says, how exactly could anyone make a sequel to The Passion of the Christ? Actually, that's fairly easy to answer. First, it's called The Resurrection of the Christ, right? It ended with his death, and it just showed a brief glimpse of the resurrection. Now they're going to back up and tell the story of what happened to Christ during those 3 days that his body spent in the tomb. Not to mention, I'm sure they're also going to get into the whole Easter story in detail, and very likely a good deal of Acts of the Apostles, chapter 1, because they said the second half of it is being released on Ascension Day. So one presumes that the story culminates in his ascension to heaven. That would make sense. And if the first part is on Easter, well, they're obviously telling the story of the resurrection. So, yes, there is a good deal of story for them to tell there. And again, especially if they're going to be focusing on that heaven and hell story that takes place during that 3 days in the tomb. I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I'll be looking forward to, of course, Wilkie's Movies and Music's review of it, as well as a number of others. Curtis Selby said, I loved The Passion was in the actual tongues. I did too. I love the idea of reviving Aramaic. I always love when languages are focused on. I am not a true linguist myself, but I have studied languages. I've studied a lot of etymologies of various languages because I just find it fascinating. How do we get the words that we use today that have been, in quotes, borrowed from other languages? And Aramaic, let's face it, whole books of the Bible were written in Aramaic and translated from them. So when we say it's a dead language, what we really mean is no one speaks it fluently today. Nobody who is alive today has heard it spoken in its original usage. We have to piece together what the language sounds like from writings and certain assumptions. I could get into how we know, for example, what ancient Egyptian sounded like. And a lot of these things have to do with words that are preserved, that we know how they sound, and things like poetry and music that have rhymes in them. We know this word must sound like that word. And especially languages that have writings that represent phonemes rather than like kanji and so forth, where you have whole ideas being referenced by a character. You have, like in English, sounds. You can, in quotes, through phonetics, sound it out. That's how we can piece together what dead languages sound like. Oh, yeah, talking about the old convention days. I don't know if I'll watch this movie yet, but it might change my mind when it comes out. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be on the fence until they find out more about it, really. While I like the original Aramaic, as an Anglican, I can't help but apply Article 24 to this and say, paraphrasing, that preaching in a language not understood is repugnant to God. Yeah, I think that's probably taking it a little too literally, because literally putting it back into the original language is as pure as you can get. That would be like studying the Old Testament in ancient Hebrew. That's literally putting the effort in to learn the original language so that there is no question what was intended by it. Oh, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Joe's Atmosphere says, drive by, like, and share. Hail midday mixers. Thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you. And one other quick follow-up. This is not related to Jesus or specifically this movie, but I'm going to say this. If you've got these two movies, the resurrection of the two parts of the Resurrection of the Christ coming out in, and I wouldn't be surprised. Here's a prediction. You put a pin in this. See if I'm right. I'm betting that part 1 is called the Resurrection of the Christ and part 2 is called the Ascension of the Christ. That's my prediction. If not, that's what they should do. But these are both coming out in 2027. And I just happened to, after, as I was in the middle of the promo break, I saw this and I was like, damn, I got to bring this up real quick. Gremlins 3 set for 2027. I feel like we're going to start getting some good movies in 2027. I'm hearing a lot of announcements for films in 2027. And I feel like we're seeing the glut of crap films being dumped into theaters the end of this year and throughout next year to cleanse the palate for 2027. That is my prediction. think we're going to start seeing much better films in 2027. As long as I got this up, let's look at it real quick and see what kind of news we know about Gremlins. The Mogwai are making a comeback with a release date set for upcoming Gremlins 3. Let me tell you something. This is going to be huge for marketing. They are going to be selling plushy gizmos left and right. They're going to have all the Halloween, green gremlins and Spike and all that all over the place. Life size, plastic, plushy, all kinds of stuff. And you better believe they are going to draw from all three films. You're going to see it all. I think this is brilliant. So however the movie does, if it reinvigorates their marketing, they're going to be doing just fine. In an investor call on Thursday, November 6th, Marvel, everything's Marvel, right? Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav announced that the mischievous little creatures known as Gremlins are heading back to the box office. Gremlins 3 has a release date set for November 19th, 2027. It will be directed by Chris Columbus, who penned the original 1984 Gremlins script. Let's see here. Variety posted the announcement on X with one notable mistake that called for a community note. Variety's X post read, Gremlins 3 will open in theaters November 19th, 2027. Chris Columbus returns as director with Steven Spielberg executive producing. X users were quick to point out that in the comments that in fact Joe Dante was the director of both Gremlins and Gremlins 2, the new batch. But Chris Columbus wrote the screenplay for the original Gremlins. He did not direct the 1984 release. He also had no involvement in the 1990 sequel. Interesting. But whenever they bring back the old talent, you expect there to be a return to form. Fingers crossed, right? Several of Hollywood's heavy hitters are already attached to Gremlins 3. Steven Spielberg is set to executive produce the film. As we've already mentioned, Chris Columbus, who notably directed the first two Harry Potter movies, is set to direct Gremlins 3. The screenplay is to be co-written by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, known for their work on Final Destination Bloodlines and Freaks. I'm assuming that's a more recent film than the original black and white feature, I suspect. From Amblin Entertainment, Christy Makosko Krieger and Holly Barrio will produce the film, along with Michael Barnathan and Mark Radcliffe of 26th Street Pictures. In addition to his directorial duties, Chris Columbus will also help produce the film. So there's no lack of people that want to put up some money for this film. Original Gremlins, the Christmas horror classic that birthed the PG-13 rating. That's very true. It wasn't the only one, but it definitely made it clear that we needed something between PG and R. The original 1984 Gremlins has become a strange Christmas classic as it combines elements of traditional Hollywood movies with horror. Last year I did a video talking about why the whole concept of scary ghost stories of Christmases long, long ago, as you know from the song Most Wonderful Time of the Year, has always been a tradition. Why scary ghost stories are as associated with Christmas as they are with Halloween. They are actually associated with the entire season, from the end of summer, Samhain, through the new year, because winter and culture, and I'll refer you back to the old video to hear more about it. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't talk about it again at some point this season. The story follows a teenager named Billy who receives a gift, a cute, furry, mysterious pet called a Mogwai, who he names Gizmo. After breaking the rules associated with caring for the creature, Gizmo spawns a host of lizard-like mischievous versions of the Mogwai who wreak havoc on the town. While set at Christmas time and beginning with a very holiday feel, the story quickly devolves into horror as the gremlins commit violent atrocities. Yeah, Steven Spielberg. By the way, if I am not mistaken, I do believe that Mogwais are mentioned in Tobin's Spirit Guide. Not that they are ghosts. I'm not entirely certain why they are in there, but they are. When Gremlins released in July of 1984 with a PG rating, the only other available rating at the time were G, R, and X. However, the scenes of graphic violence spawned outrage among parents who felt the content was inappropriate for young children, whom the movie was heavily marketed to for toy-related merchandise sales. Yes, there's a scene of a gremlin being caught in a microwave and turned on and blowing up, which of course spawned all the urban legends about pets being put into microwaves and blowing up. By the way, they won't blow up. It will kill them, but it will not blow them up. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. There's also a scene of one getting buzzed up, frappéd in a food processor. I'll tell you, don't mess with Mama Bear. She'll F you up. She really will. In response to the outrage, Steven Spielberg pushed for a new rating that would warn parents of content that, while not warranting an R rating, might be objectionable for younger viewers. Out of this, the PG-13 rating was born in 1984's Red Dawn being the first movie to receive the rating. In addition to Gremlins, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom also fell into that with the whole, heart thing. Why is Gremlins returning now? In a statement given to Variety, Warner Brothers Pictures President of Development and Production, Jesse Ehrman, said, "Few titles are as beloved and iconic as the Gremlins, and we're beyond excited to bring it back for both lifelong fans and a whole new generation. It's a privilege to be working alongside Steven Spielberg, Chris Columbus, and the entire creative team, and we look forward to audiences experiencing the next installment of the magic, mayhem, and heart of Gremlins on the big screen in 2027. If they're smart, they will re-release Gremlins and Gremlins 2, A New Batch, in 2026 on the big screens. They absolutely should do that. Revive franchises such as, and that costs them $0. That will be a huge cushion that they could put into the bottom line for this movie. Revive franchises from the 1980s tend to be hit or miss, while the recent entry in the Tron franchise, Tron Ares, completely missed the mark. Cobra Kai was a massive hit that reinvented interest in the Karate Kid story. I would also argue Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Same thing. The sci-fi horror Netflix series Stranger Things has become a worldwide phenomenon, striking a chord with its nostalgic 1980s setting and supernatural tales. These same attributes that have made Stranger Things a massive global hit are also found in the original Gremlins. Given its cult following and Christmas horror classic status, Gremlins 3 is if done right, could prove a big win for Warner Brothers. Look, this should be a no-lose proposition. Even if the movie doesn't do well and is done poorly, which I have no reason to believe will be the case, like I said, if they re-release Gremlins and New Batch in 2026. That's pure profit. They re-release a lot of the toys that they've put out over the years and license them out to, various companies for more. That's just more money for free to them before they even get the movie in the theaters. And then you better believe the first week is going to do very, very well. If it sucks, it dies very quickly. If it doesn't, it's going to be a runaway hit. So this is literally a no-lose scenario. Let me see what you guys are saying. The Horror King says, I went to see the mystery movie on Saturday night at 8:35 p.m. and it turned out to be the new Running Man, which comes to the cinemas in my hometown this week. I just brought that up and dropped it down again. Crossing fingers that the slop films will end soon. Yeah. Speculation on my part, but this is what it's starting to look like based on what we're seeing being announced in 2027. I thought the new Running Man was pretty good. I would definitely watch it a second time. There you go. In case anyone is wondering, the audiobook for The Running Man is on YouTube for free. So there you go. Sounds like Troy knows from personal experience with pets and appliances. No, I don't. But I was a huge Mythbusters fan. And let's say Mythbusters spawns on YouTube. People have done a lot of experimentation with, let's just say, pet analogs in microwaves. They don't blow up. They just cook. Yeah, something like Red Dawn is kind of happening. Not as quickly as it did in the movies, but it is happening. I would like to see Gremlins 3 take place several years before the first movie. It would show how the shopkeeper met Gizmo as a young man. That would actually be a very interesting story. I would like that as well. Nothing says that if this one doesn't do well, they don't go back and do a prequel for like a Gremlin. I don't know if they'd call it Gremlins 4. They should break from the numbering thing and call it Gremlins Origins or something like that. Off to work. Take care, Curtis Selby. Yep, you got to pay those tax dollars so that they can sit and do nothing. Just saying. The movie could show us how the shopkeeper loses an eye during the movie, which would explain his appearance in the first movie. I agree. That would be some good story. There's already good story set up if they just pick up on it. Shades of Predator and Alien films. Yep. And there was another. Oh, we've recently got an announcement about what's it called? A new Mummy movie, Mummy 4, which, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that supposed to be 2027 as well? It does bother me that we're seeing a lot of sequels to older franchises. But let's be honest, I'd rather have a 30-year-old sequel than a, remake of an original property. I'd rather... It skirts the line between old and new. It's building on a franchise, but still giving us something new. So at least I can get behind that. And maybe if they see enough success with sequels to old properties, A, they'll stop butchering old properties with remakes, and B, they will start making new. They will have a firm groundwork to start making new properties. At least I hope so. The movie wouldn't have to give us the origin of Gizmo, just the relationship between Gizmo and the shopkeeper. No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we don't need an origin story for the Gremlins, but you call it Gremlins Origin because it's a simple title that most audience would kind of understand. They would understand that it's a prequel and not a Gremlins 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's what I really mean by that. And that is what I've been musing about. Kind of curious about what this Resurrection of the Christ is going to look like, being in English. I think that's going to be weird, but then again, there have been a lot of biblical films that have all been in English, so I guess I shouldn't be, too shocked and surprised. In fact, even right in the wake of Passion of the Christ, they did the Nativity, which was in English. So, what the hey, whatever. And I'm, looking at 2027 with, somewhat reticent optimism. I really, have my fingers crossed that maybe we're going to start seeing something good happening. Can cinema survive that long, though? That is the question. The theaters are really, really hurting. They really are. So we will see. And I will continue to do my part to keep cinema alive, especially to my members every Monday night for Members Night at the Movies, including tonight where at 8 Central, 9 Eastern, members can join me to watch Zombieland. Because why not? I will be posting the link for that in the community tab probably within a half hour of ending the stream, which we are going to start winding down right now. I wouldn't like to Gremlins 3 come out. You wouldn't probably like to see Gremlins 3 come out during Christmas 2027. If they set it at Christmas, have them put it out at Christmas. I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that again. However, since it is a sequel that takes place so long, or it's being implied that it's going to be a sequel that takes place so long after the original, it could take place at any time of year. So they should plan when they're planning to have it done and have it take place at that time of year. It would make perfect sense. Since the first two are Christmas movies, it would make sense for this one to be a Christmas movie too. Oh, okay. So you meant to say you would like to see it come out at Christmas. That makes sense. I would be fine with that. It doesn't have to be that way for me. They could play off of Phoebe Cates' whole bit about, Christmas and then talking about Abraham Lincoln Day, which was a really bad joke in the second one. Make it another holiday and give her an opportunity to talk about something tragic that happened to her at that holiday. I don't know. Just a thought. But I couldn't care less when it takes place or when they release it. I just want them to make it good. So that is my Monday musings for today. Thank you so much for sharing yours with me as well. Hope to see all the members tonight on Members Night at the Movies. All of you that are not members, I would love to see you become members. It only costs about $2. That's, people like to say for less than the price of a cup of coffee. That's significantly less than the price of a cup of coffee for a month's membership. It's crazy. And it's how I can afford to keep doing what I do here. So I would really, really... Oh, yeah. A Gremlins Die Hard crossover Christmas movie would be awesome. That would be great. Love to see that. Actually, at this point, I would almost like to see that be like a CG-generated short. That would be great marketing for something. But anyway... I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with me today and every day at lunchtime, or every weekday for Liquid Lunch. I want you guys to all take care of yourselves so that you can come back safe and healthy for the next one. And when you drink responsibly. Take care, everybody.
Goodbye. Hope to see you again real soon.
Here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun, our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon, chasing that jazz under the high noon.